Hello gorgeous ones, it's just after 5. I'm looking over there to have a look at my clock. Welcome to this episode of Cooking, Coaching and Conversations with me, Dr. Lucy Burns from Real Life Medicine. I've got a couple of things I'm cooking today. Well, it's actually one, but I've also got a pre-prepared one because I wanted to show you today. I've got my spoon ready. Today, I quite like this actually, it's a bit like a conductor thing. I'm going to cook for you pulled beef. Now I've got a couple of ways that I can do it. Hi gorgeous ones. Hi Hannah, Clara, Susan, Annette, how are you lovelies? We're waving. So pulled beef. I've got two trusty implements. I kind of used to think I didn't have a lot of kitchen implements, but I probably do. I don't use a lot of them. But this one I pull out over winter. You'll all recognize it. It's a slow cooker. Now the thing with a slow cooker, right, is you have to be vaguely organised, and that's not always my jam. So I'm going to show you how to do a super easy, whack it all in, take less than a minute to get it started, and then I'm going to show you the finished product. So pulled beef, right, I do it with topside. This is just a big hunk of topside. It's usually pretty cheap, and it breaks down really well. If your topside is stringed from the butcher, cut the strings off beforehand because it doesn't really matter. So I'm having a look around to see if I've got any oil, and I don't, so I don't think I'm going to bother. So what I'm going to do, I don't bother doing that browning thing. You know, people go, oh, you've got to brown. Hi Sue, how are you? Brown your meat? You don't. We're trying to make it easy for us. So what I'm going to do, I do have my world famous, well not my famous, Coles onions. These, I went and priced them today. They're about less than $2 for a packet, and there's easily a thing of onions in there. So again, if chopping onions is not your jam, and honestly, for most of us it's not, it actually makes your eyes cry, you kind of go, I don't want to, so you don't bother with them. Well, here's a good way to do it. And so I'm just popping these in. Probably should have made the hole a bit bigger. Then, I'm just going to spread them out a bit on the bottom. I'm just going to pop the roasty thing. So just this big hunk, it's about nearly 2 kilos. So it's just a big hunk of topside, plop, in it goes. It doesn't matter which side up, it doesn't actually matter anything. You just plop it in. Now, again, this is a no-chop meal. I'm not doing chopping today. So I have got some pre-chopped mushrooms. You may notice that this thing that I had the beef in is the plastic container. I recycle all of these. I reuse and recycle. So sometimes they'll be, you know, just random containers that you need something for 5 minutes in the kitchen. Sometimes I'll turn them into, I'll put some potting mix in and turn them into things to cook grow microgreens. There's heaps of things you can use them for, so don't feel too bad. So I just whack them in. Now, got my Valverde, so that's the brand of sauce that I use. It's just sauce and salt. There's nothing else in it, no thickeners, no gum. This one I'm going to use, this is quite a big thing. So I happen to have a scrap at the bottom, so in the jar of the fridge. Hello Brenda darling, how are you? And now I'm just going to whack this in. I'm pretty happy, I've got my setup today reasonably well where I can actually see the screen, which makes such a big difference. So then I can read your comments at the same time. So now this is where the magic starts with these ones. What I have, you can't see it over here, but brewing in my pressure cooker, which I will bring out magically, I'm going to show you the same meal that I put on about 20 minutes ago. I just didn't want you to sit here waiting while it hissed and made a big mess. So with this pulled beef, you get to decide what flavour you want. So I'm actually doing spag bowl tonight for that one, but the other one I've got is stroganoff. I don't know if you can see that, it's back to front anyway. So you know the reason I love these mingle things is that I can make a different flavour with the same basic ingredients. So the stroganoff one, which when it's come through I'll show you, I'm going to add, I did the same, a little bit less passata, but I've just done the same. Basically the frozen onions, the hunk of meat, the mushies, some passata, and then I put this in. And then what I'm going to do when it's all full, I'm going to pull it apart and then stir through some sour cream. And my trusty, pick them out of my garden, not really, spinach leaves. But you could also do a taco pulled beef, why not? And have them with like your Jimmy cakes, or have them just in a bowl by themselves, or if your kids are having tacos, you can have it with those. So that's easy. And then this one, curry in a hurry. Again, I use this one all the time. Why not have a pulled beef that's a curry flavour? Who says that it has to be, you know, spag bowl or whatever it is? This is another little secret ingredient of mine. It just looks like a jar of mush, because it basically is. It's a vegetable stock paste, and all I've done is got every single scrap of vegetables I've cooked for the last few months. I basically, all the ends, everything, unless it's like a tree root or a tree branch, I probably wouldn't put that in, but the ends of zucchinis, ends of carrots, the skin off the onion, all of that goes into a little freezer bag, and every now and then I cook it up. So I do it in the thermi just because it's easy, but you could easily do it on a pan, on a pot, stovetop, and you just cook it, reduce it down, put lots of salt in like that, and then mush it or whiz it with your stick blender. And then they keep, because there's lots of salt, like it's there's no way you taste it, it's disgusting. But it means it's like a, oh, my thing's ready, my other one's ready. But it means it's like a stock paste without any nasties. So that's always a little secret ingredient. So, like seriously, what did that take me? No time at all. So frozen onions, a hunk of meat, a packet of mushies, and a couple of things of this stuff. Put the lid on and come back 14 hours later, which is what I'm going to do. So that now, move this one over here, and here's one I prepared earlier. So I've got my pulling implements. I've got my salt, because I wasn't sure how salty it'll be, and I like to taste the salt. And then this little baby is my other little thing that I use a reasonable amount of time in winter. It's a pressure cooker. Hands up, who has a pressure cooker? Let me know, because they're absolutely awesome. The paste lasts in the fridge, Heather, for well over 6 months. It's easy. So when I do it, because I kind of like to batch cook, I make sure I've got a big wad of it. And I've probably got 4 jars of this. Actually, I made about 6. I gave a couple away. Good. Tara's got a pressure cooker. Annette's got a pressure cooker. I initially bought the pressure cooker to make bone broth, and it is brilliant for that. So you know, if you're ever making bone broth, Clara White, have you put through mingle yet? I'm not sure what you meant. Oh, Clara, I know exactly what you mean. You're right. I did not put, gosh, she's on the ball. So back to my slow cooker. I'm just going to whack. Again, this is how forgiving the recipe is. I'm going to whack the mingle in at the moment. So spag bowl in the one I'm doing in the slow cooker, and I'm just going to leave that all night and get up in the morning. Well, not get up, but when I get up, because tomorrow's my non-clinical day, I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn, that will be ready. Or if you wanted to, you could put on in the morning and be ready when you get home. Okay, so this little one, pressure cooker. This, I'm just going to do, you're meant to sort of let it release itself, but you don't always have to. You ready for a bit of steam? It's quite fun. Ooh. Okay, so that's the steam all coming out. You can't open it until the steam's gone. So, this one happens to have a slightly smaller lump of topside in it. But basically I'm going to get it out and show you then what I do with it, if it ever stops steaming. Oh, my pressure cooker, Sheena, is from Kmart. It was about $55. I haven't bought a fancy one. I don't know what brand it is, whatever the Kmart brand is. I've had it for a year. I use it probably a lot, you know, over winter, a couple of times a week. Tara's got an Instapot. That's another great one. Somebody said, why didn't you get the combo pressure cooker and slow cooker? And certainly you could do that. However, I wouldn't be able to show you my 2 recipes if I had them both in one. It's still not quite, the pressure's not quite off. I'll just leave it a couple more minutes. So while I'm just waiting for this to decompress, when I do bone broth, basically, again, I don't do any of the browning that people talk about. I get some of those old scraps of kitchen food that I was telling you about that I might put in for my paste, but some of them I'll put in the bone broth, and I just get any old bones of chicken carcass, the leftover of a roast chook if we had that, or I'll buy bones. Again, if you can get grass-fed, that's obviously better, but you know, we're talking, you know, what is it called? The law of diminishing returns. Just get bones. As you know, if we go from bone broth made with organic grass-fed beef bones, that's like the pinnacle, and right down the bottom is your Maggi stock cube. Okay, so what we want to do is somewhere in between, preferably up that end. So the Maggi stock cube is full of fake flavors, salt. It's completely processed and then sort of turned into a little cube. Up the other end, you've got your bone broth, which if you make from home is obviously you know exactly what goes in it. If you don't want to make your own bone broth, but I will tell you, in the pressure cooker is super quick. So it's 2 hours, which I guess is not that quick, but compared to like 2 days on the stove where it stinks out the whole house and my family are all threatening to leave, I'm happy with 2 hours in the pressure cooker. Then what you do is you let it all sort of simmer, and then basically you strain it. That's it. It's not rocket science. I can barely justify doing a cooking show on it. Where do I get mingles? So you can get some at Coles. Coles, I think, only have this one and the curry. They only have these 3. Blah. The website is where I usually get mine because they often have specials, and they often have sales, bundles, all those sorts of things. Lots of our members, when people have joined the 12-week Mind Body Rebalance, we provide people with a $50 mingle voucher because it has just made my life so easy. But yeah, just go to mingleseasoning.com.au, maybe .au, I don't know. The girl who owns it, her name is Jordan. She's really fun, and she's I really like to support her because she's a young woman. She's only in her 20s. She's clearly entrepreneurial, but also has come up with a gap in the market where there's a spice company where they don't have any crap in it, but actually still tastes all right. Because I don't know, I've been to lots of markets, and every now and then I'll buy something and just think, oh, it's just not doing it for me. So that's why I love the mingle. Now, I think it's safe for me to get the pressure cooker off. I know people get a bit frightened by them. The key is just making sure the lid comes off easily. And look at this, it does, and that's the steam. Okay, so I'm just going to put the lid on this bit of tea towel here. Now, oh yeah, this looks good. So again, I have not done anything different to this one, just a bit of meat in there. Okay, and I'm putting it out into here. Now, that's what it looks like, okay? So it just doesn't look fancy, it just looks like a hunk of meat. So what I'm going to do, I might even like to get it so that you can see me a bit better. How about, I don't know if this is going to work. Oh yeah, look at this. How handy are these blooming plastic things? Now, I've got it up here so you can see it. Good. Oh yes, dehydrated bone broth, Cheryl, too, is another great option. It's made by, there's a couple of companies. The Broth of Life is one of the companies that I like. And again, beautiful Australian woman who is, basically she makes it all in her commercial kitchen, which is on her property, and then they just dehydrate it. And then you can just add it to water. So I guess the convenience of a stock cube, but with the goodness of real bone broth. I seriously think I should get a marketing job. So then I've got this beautiful hunk of beef, which is all infused with these stroganoff flavours. And if I look and go, right, what is actually in the stroganoff flavour? We've got onion, garlic, paprika, salt, pepper, and parsley. So there's not, I mean, you could make your own if you wanted to, but honestly, for me, it's just easier to open the packet and in it goes. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just mindful of the fact that I'm resting on a reasonably rubbishy little plastic thing to try and get you up a bit higher. I'm just going to pull it a bit. So I'm doing some very rough cutting. Now, interestingly, I'm having a look in here. I put in the slow cooker for 25 minutes. I actually think, and of course this is live TV, I don't get to sort of put it back in and make it look pretty. I actually think it probably needs another 10 minutes. So I don't know if you can see in there, but normally what I would like in a pulled beef is that all of that collagen, all of those sinews are broken down and it just pulls apart. So in fact, I'm not going to show you what it looks like because I'm going to go whack it back in, and I'll have to show you a photo afterwards. But again, beauty of live TV, you can just whack something back in. So I've now got my two beefs cooking. One's going to take about another 10 minutes and one's going to take about 10 hours. Now, while I'm just organising myself with this and I'm looking at the time, I wanted to talk to you girls about sugar addiction, girls and boys. So this has come up a lot from my patients and probably in our 12-week mind-body rebalance. You know, what is sugar addiction? And I have got a masterclass on it, but what I want to talk to you about is the idea that we believe that sugary foods taste good. And if you ask anybody, they will tell you that chocolate tastes good, right? I mean, it's almost like a no-brainer. It's like, why would you even question that? But I want to get you to think about something. What we like with the chocolate or the cake or the chips or whatever it is, we think it's the taste. But it's not the taste. Because do you know what? If it was the taste, they would be able to make something like chocolate flavoured chewing gum and we'd all be buying that. It's not the taste. What you like is the eating, the swallowing, and then the dopamine effect that we get from sugary or carb-laden food. We don't get that same dopamine effect from a piece of pulled beef. It just doesn't happen. But a piece of pulled beef, particularly when it's marinated and it's beautiful, it's got so much flavour. It is so delicious. But back to the sugary, carby food. And again, keep your mind open about this. We believe, we are told, we're marketed to, we're conditioned to believe that carby and sugary food and junk food tastes good. That's why people don't want to stop. I love it. I just love the taste of it. God, what do you like about it? It's the taste. I love the taste. Okay, well, if you loved just the taste, you would do this. You would spit it out. Same thing, you got the taste. Have another bit. Got the taste? It's not the taste. Our brain thinks it's the taste. It tricks us to believe it's the taste, but it's not the taste. Sweet stuff tastes horrible if you haven't had anything sweet in a month or so. You are totally right, Jimmy. So with sweet stuff, what it does is it not only gives us this little dopamine hit that makes us feel good, every time we have it, we actually upregulate receptors. So we end up with more and more of these receptors in our brain wanting sugar or carbs. Now, when the receptors are empty, we feel terrible. We will feel tired, we can feel irritable, we feel subnormal. So we don't feel normal, we feel under normal, less than normal. And the thing about this under normal or less than normal, it's actually called withdrawal, but we never talk about that in terms of sugar. And so you feel really average and you go, oh God, I'd feel better if I had a Mars bar, because you know, they help you work, rest and play. So you have your Mars bar and suddenly you feel better again. And you go, oh good, see, it does, it's so good, it makes me feel good. Yeah, it made you feel good because you were withdrawing and you felt terrible. So the more you have, the more receptors you have, the worse you feel when you don't have it. It's this vicious cycle. And so there are people, and for a lot of us, particularly me and lots of you, when you are sugar addicted, you don't savour the food. You just kind of wolf it down. I've had times where I've wolfed down chocolate and can't even remember if I finished it, thinking, surely I haven't finished it yet, surely there's more, but it's gone. Because I was just hoeing down into it. I know that there are people out there who do savour their food and savour their dessert, and that's okay. They're not the people I'm talking about. It's a little like comparing somebody who can have a glass of wine once a month or once a week versus somebody who has to have 2 or 3 glasses a night. Okay, when they don't have it, they feel anxious, they feel a bit irritable, they feel uncomfortable. And then you've got there's the glass a month, couple of glasses a night, and then the people that we identify as being alcoholics. They're your 3 things. It's the same with sugar or carbs. Somebody that can have a piece, every now and then, that don't really mean anything. People that have it every day, and then your absolute raging carboholics, of which I was one. And I'm sure there are others out there too. So the thing to remember is that your brain, totally addicted to sugar of any sort, really will give you stories that sound incredibly reasonable for you to eat that food. The story being, it tastes great. Or this one, this is a great one for the chip people. I like the crunch. Really? Well, if you liked the crunch, you would just crunch on it and then spit it out. It's not the crunch. It's the hit that you get from it. When we start recognizing that what we like is the hit, then we're a step closer to be able to do something about it. When we're still in this denial of, no, it's not about that, I just like the taste, then you're still back in sort of trickery land. It's false, it's make-believe, it's what the food companies want us to believe. Remember, they spend billions making sure that there is some component to the way the mouth feel of it, to the texture, all of those things that make us believe we want to eat it. But honestly, if it was all just that, you could have it and spit it out. But nobody does that, okay? So be aware of little dirty marketing tricks. Right, my loves, it's 5:30. I've got pilates tonight, as you know, so, and I wanted to show, I was going to show you this top, but it's back to front, so you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to show you anyway. It says, kindness is contagious, and if you can read back to front, you'll be able to read it. Again, part of self-care, part of caring in general is being kind. And today when I was popping into the supermarket, there was this lovely guy, young guy, as I'm schlepping in with my walking stick and whatever, and he has his trolley and he goes, here, have my trolley, I'll get another one. And I just thought, you know what, mate? That's kindness. So on that moment, darling, I will post a picture of my Moroccan beef when it's done tonight. I will post a picture of my spag bowl pulled beef when it's done tomorrow. And I will see the 12-weekers, if you're on, I'll see you Thursday night in the coaching call, and all the others I'll see next week on at 8 a.m. for my live then. Have a wonderful week, darlings. Bye now. I've really got to get someone to do this.